Brunswick Planning Board for July 18th, 2024. If everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our agenda this evening, as it was posted on the town website and the town board, is as follows. Number 1, Brunswick Acres, major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision with regard to the Brunswick Acres Planned Development District on approximately 44-acre parcel of land located along the north side of Brunswick Road, New York State Route 2, just west of Heather Ridge Road. Public hearing to commence at 7 p.m. Brunswick Road Development LLC is the applicant. Number 2, Froyo, amendment to a special use permit. Applicant seeks to amend a previously approved special use permit in order to allow for on-site pickup of purchased firearms on property located at 502 Pinewoods Avenue. Zachary Froyo is the applicant. Number 3, Marie's Muse LLC site plan. Applicant seeks to construct a drive-through restaurant and retail building on the eastern portion of the site and a second drive-through restaurant on the western portion of the site at 737 Hoosick Road and 4 Mohawk Avenue. Marie's Muse LLC is the applicant. Number 4, Walmart recommendation to town board. The applicant seeks to amend a previously approved site plan of the Brunswick Square Development District to allow for seasonal sales of lawn and garden supplies in the existing parking lot at the Walmart store, property located at 760 Hoosick Road. The town board seeks a recommendation from the planning board on this application. Walmart Stores Incorporated is the applicant. And then we have other new applications to review under new business. Okay, first on our agenda is the public hearing for Brunswick Acres. This time I will read the procedure for the public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to hear concerns, comments, and views from the general public regarding a particular proposal or application. All public hearings are electronically recorded and a written record of the proceedings is generated. In most cases, this written record is included with the minutes of the planning board regular meeting, which is usually conducted immediately after the public hearing. The applicant will be required to respond to all concerns and comments made at the public hearing, and subsequently the planning board will consider all concerns and comments when evaluating the application to ensure that the applicant has addressed all the issues in question. Public hearing will be conducted as follows. The notice of public hearing will be read by the planning board attorney. Next, the applicant will give a brief presentation on the proposal and provide any updates on the application. Upon completion of the applicant's remarks, the chairman of the planning board will recognize persons from the public, and these individuals will be allowed to speak and offer their concerns, comments, and views. Since the proceedings of the public hearing is electronically recorded, it is requested that all speakers step forward and use the microphone at the podium. All speakers will give their name and address for the record. The notice of public hearing will now be read by the planning board attorney.
Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the planning board of the town of Brunswick at 7 p.m. on Thursday, July 18, 2024, at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, Brunswick, New York, 12180, to review a major subdivision application submitted by Brunswick Road Development LLC for the Brunswick Acres Planned Development District, located along the north side of Brunswick Road, New York State Route 2, just west of Heather Ridge Road, consisting of 24 single-family home building lots and 1 stormwater management lot on an approximately 44.1 acre parcel. Copies of the application and supporting documents are available at the Brunswick Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested persons will be heard at the public hearing. This was published in the Troy Record, placed on the town signboard, posted on the town website, and mailed to owners of properties located within 300 feet of the project site.
Thank you. Okay, the applicant will come up and give a brief presentation and any updates, and please turn your materials over towards the public so they can be addressed.
Anthony Casal, Brunswick Acres. First, did Wendy distribute the email I sent her earlier today from Department of Health?
Yes, she did.
All right, so I have 44 acres, 24 lot subdivision, lots ranging anywhere from 1 to 4 acres each. It's about a little over 2,000-foot road with a cul-de-sac. Got public water and septics on the lot. We are seeking approval on a previously conditional approved project that expired last year. Since then, last meeting, we just I presented and mentioned that we may be going over fill systems to get the county health department approval. But since then, speaking with Derek down at the county, he said to make no changes at all, and he's going to approve the plans as they are.
Okay.
It's really pretty much it.
And just a verification, Ron, you reviewed the plans. There is no changes from the previously submitted and approved conditional.
That's correct. We have no changes.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add?
No?
Okay, at this time, I will open up the podium for anyone who wishes to come up and speak. Anybody have any comments on this project?
Good evening. Jim Tachik, 387 Brunswick Road. I just had a couple items here that it's sort of a change from the original. One of them is there are a couple of significant retention walls that weren't defined in the minutes, for example. I think they said they were going to be developed as needed on site. That's at least my impression.
Are you talking about like the DEC and Corps of Engineering's
No,
delineation?
the earth retaining walls.
Okay,
Right, okay.
okay.
Because then, for example, lot 7, lot 8, lot 7, if I'm reading this correctly, I'm not an expert in reading the drawings in here. You go, the top of the wall is 432, the bottom is 417, which makes it a 15-foot wall. And lot number 8, there's an 8-foot wall, if I'm reading that correctly. I'm curious, are those walls on the property of the house that it's protected? Okay, and then who's responsible for maintaining that wall? Is that the homeowner, homeowners association, town, whatever? And then in the details, the detail sheet of the plans, there was a drainage pipe situated at the bottom of that wall. And is that going to be dropping the water into a stormwater system by pipe, or is that just going to be let go onto the property of the homeowner? And then I know there aren't supposed to be any people uphill from this. But kids tend to wander. Kids might be walking up there, riding mountain bikes, sledding. There might be maintenance, lawn maintenance, landscaping maintenance up there. Is there any system to keep the people or animals from falling off this 15-foot wall? So, I mean, might put a fence there, you might just extend the wall up, so the wall is its own barrier, so nobody could fall over it. I'm just not sure what the details are here. And then, I don't know if anything, if there is a fence, for example, has that been suggested or required, or is this left to the discretion of the homeowner? If the homeowner is indeed the owner of that wall. It has one other safety item, and that involves the intersection of the road coming out of development with Route 2. Now, Route 2 is that stretch is a 55-mile-an-hour highway, and as you go down the hill out of Troy and into the straightaway, there's a passing zone for the traffic going down the hill. There's a dotted line. Okay. The entrance from the development is about 500 feet from Heather Ridge Road. And I couldn't locate that precisely where that would be, but it seems to me that entrance is going to be right coming into this passing zone. Okay, so if you can imagine, if you're sitting at the end of the road of the development, here's Route 2. You want to make a right-hand turn, okay? You look left, and you just take off and turn right. There could be a car making a legitimate pass coming down the hill. Okay? And I think that's something that has to be considered. This may have been considered when DOT gave the permission. I don't know. It wasn't in the, I couldn't see it anywhere in the minutes or in the plans in here. And then that's it. I mean, the possibilities you might do is reduce the speed limit in that section it breaks from 40 to 55 to the top of the hill coming out of the past the country club. You might have to reduce or eliminate that passing zone coming down the hill, and then you'd have to correspondingly change the road markings. I was wondering if any of that had been defined by discussions with DOT. Right, thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else wish to come up and make any comments or have any questions?
Good evening. I'm Ken Lovett, Lovett. I live at 1 Heather Ridge Road. My wife and I have lived there now for 2001, so 23 years. When we were looking around the area, when we moved back to the area, we chose Town of Brunswick. We chose that specific location because of the quality of life. We're really opposed to this development for changing that quality of life that we've had for almost a quarter of a century. 24 houses is a large development. It abuts our house and our neighbor's house. We have stream, we have woods. A lot of the woods have already been cleared. It's just a large development for this area. It's going to create, in my opinion, more traffic for Route 2. We've already had the issue on Route 7, Hoosick Street. We've seen more trucks, more vehicles on Route 2. This is going to create even more traffic, this development. The impact on wildlife, one of the benefits of living where we've lived the last quarter of a century, are deer and other turkey and other wildlife that our kids enjoy, that we enjoy, that people enjoy to see. That's going to be destroyed by this. I know development is a key thing for the town, but I just think the size of this and where it's going, you're trying to just kind of fit it in between two developments. It's going to change the nature of the area. It's going to change the nature of our neighborhood. So I would respectfully ask that you decline it.
Thank you.
Carl Aho at 264 Brunswick. I own a very small piece of vacant property across the street from where they want to build this. My big concern is with all the building going on and clearing, how much sediment and how much material is gonna end up getting into the sweet milk, which is gonna cross the road onto my property and subsequently into the posting mill. I don't know, I know you got a storm, you have a storm thing set up, can you show me that? And how, is it gonna be able to handle
Yeah, there's one.
the amount of rain and everything that we can get? That's my big concern. I can't do anything about it, I'm just a vacant piece of property. And, the posted kill is there, the sweet milk is there. And environmentally, it could be a big impact on that whole area and the rest of the posted kill going down to Troy. So, I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael O'Connor, we're on 27 Ricardo Lane. We're going to be new neighbors to this development. And I just have a couple questions for Mr. Casale. So last week they mentioned that you had to get rights to a new right-of-way. What was that about?
Our line's right here, we got a triangle water line on the code.
Okay, so we're on water line.
Yeah.
So we're 27, can I point it out?
Sure. We are the very, very, very last house. We're outside the cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
So this is the current 9-mile right of way.
No, it's my right away.
Your right of way, but this
I
is,
already have the right away.
okay. But did you have to get a new one?
No, I had to buy the property underneath the power lines in order to cross.
Got it, okay. So you're gonna be connecting into our water line for fresh water?
It's gonna tie into Bacardi, and it's gonna tie into Heather Ridge Road, so it's gonna create a loop for the town. So that way it'll be a full complete system.
So we'll get more water or will the water come off of ours?
Yeah, it's engineering question. It just will create a loop between the
The
roads.
roads, the water is basically gonna go, on that, just on that, there from right to left.
Okay.
You're going to do a road, really, the lower pressure way.
So you'll be receiving water from our side?
Correct. Correct.
Second, you said you're gonna have individual sewage, so you're not gonna have
Septic system.
septic tanks, so you're not gonna be community septic. Because we all
Are connected up with grinder pumps up to the, whatever the sanitary station outside of Walmart on the Chesney Road is. So we're not gonna be able to tie into yours. Okay. Because it's easier for stuff to go downhill than uphill.
But just as a clarification, you don't have a sewer system.
No, that's why I was asking if
No,
you.
it's all septic.
Is there anywhere in your project where what's the name of your road going to be? If you have a name.
Don't do it.
Okay, whatever, your road and your cul-de-sac, is there any way it's gonna ever be able to tie into any other road, whether it's Ricardi? That's what I'm definitely getting at. So all that land,
These are all private houses.
Private houses and everything that's green on that map is forever green.
Okay, and anything here, we're just gonna get right away for a road? Okay, because you know what my concern is.
Yeah, you can't do that.
The latest traffic study, they were also talking about putting a road in and connecting from traffic.
Now, that was one of the reasons the town board was in favor of our project, because it eliminated everybody who came in to try to tie everything together.
Yeah, because naturally would be thousands of cars a day between Ricardi and proposed town road.
finally, a lot of trees have come down. Any plans to take down any more trees?
I wouldn't be able to say without it, so
Because right now, our backyard was completely flush with trees, 300 feet away. And we were able to watch the trees come down, and now we can actually see some of your land, some of your lots. And we've already put up trees to block off the view that eventually, because whenever you started 3 or 4 years ago, we already started putting the trees up, knowing this would happen.
whatever trees are down there were in order to do the perk test for the septic systems. So it's however far all them septic systems are at the minute.
Okay, and we're not happy that any project's going, but I'd rather it be individual houses with homeowners that are gonna be paying taxes and being committed to the community than apartments. There's a lot less congestion with houses, a lot less trouble with houses than there are with apartments. So if we're gonna have anything, I'd rather have something like this. And being a Ricardi person, I can never say no to somebody because, we had our house built 14 years ago. And we're 2,000 square foot main road at a cul-de-sac, and we're just 11 houses, so anyway, just wanted to get those questions out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny O'Connor, 27 McCarty Lane. Just in addition to what he said, and what other people have expressed is the wildlife. Especially, I mean, that hopefully no more trees are coming down already as it is. Like, we left part of our property wild, and only one tree was not down for our personal property, not necessarily the whole McCarty Lane, but our property. And we realized we came in and took over wildlife, it was McCarty Lane, it used to be a horse track, but I just worry that we are seeing a lot more wildlife that we haven't seen in like bears, because they keep getting pushed out from other areas that were wildlife. So they are now, I know we've seen coyotes in the middle of the day on music, and stuff. So I think the more we just keep knocking down, the more that wildlife has no place to go. And then people are upset that they are on their properties, but there's really no place for them to go if we just keep tearing down their lands. So just kind of wanted to mention that, because we enjoy all that wildlife, but seeing a bear this week was kind of twice unusual. In 14 years, it's only the second time we've had one. So just knowing that, just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Amy Lovett, and I also live at 1 Heather Ridge Road. In addition to the comments that were already made tonight, I have serious concerns about drainage related to this project. Where we are on Heather Ridge Road, we have a ton of drainage issues. Anytime there's a huge storm, or even a quick storm, there are rivers running down along our properties. And I am looking out my back patio up the hill at cleared land, and having seen the number of houses in Rensselaer County that have been washed away as storms have become more and more violent, and there is less and less holding the soil to the ground, and holding structures to the ground, trees, greenery, shrubbery, you name it, all of that stuff, as it can be tiny and huge, holds soil to, in place. I worry very much about what will happen to those of us who are downhill from this major development. Again, I know someone mentioned sightlines. I have watched neighbors pull out of out of Heather Ridge Road and get slammed into because the sightlines are awful. And I can't imagine they're going to be any better with this new development. It is a fast road. It doesn't matter what speed limit you put there. People come rolling down, the trucks come rolling down from the mines up the way. It's crazy. It's icy, and it's just, between even just watching people coming out of Brunswick Hills, which is a very long established neighborhood, it is challenging to see. And that is a state highway. It is a fast road. I would also say that there is a stream that runs along along our backyard and up through our neighborhood in Heather Ridge Road. And I want to make sure, find out what provisions are being made to prevent that from being polluted and to prevent the runoff from contaminating that. Because it does also run right into the Posting Hill. So not only will it run across the road and into the Posting Hill, it will run into the stream, which also, the creek, which runs into the Posting Hill. So I appreciate the time to speak with you all, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come up and make any comments? Have any questions they may have for the applicant? Once again, is there anyone else who wishes to come up and make any comments? Okay, I'll address the board now. Is there any reason why we cannot close the public hearing? Does anybody have any conditions? Have we received any letters for the And I do not see any reason why we have to extend the public hearing. Does anybody have any comments on that? Okay, then I will close the public hearing. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Okay, that concludes the public hearing. First on our agenda is the Brunswick Acres. So if those people that ask questions would like to stay, some of those questions may be answered. However, the applicant does have to reply, make a response to all the comments in writing. So if you'd like to stay and listen to the conversation, you're entirely welcome. But the public hearing is over. Okay, first on our agenda is the Brunswick Acres major subdivision. Come on up. We have heard some comments. I don't know how those comments differed from the first public hearing, whether there was any additional ones.
I don't think so. I mean, well, retaining walls and, I don't remember hearing anything about that, but I think the code, anything over 6 foot, that be engineered and was most likely have required fence on top of it. Plus, those walls are gonna be over here with a large buffer of green space between them and the property, so everything's gonna be on that homeowner's property. There will be no HOA, and each individual home will be responsible for their own wall. As far as the speeding or anything like that, I can't really control that, and the town has no control over New York State Route 2 anyways, it's a state road, so they can't do anything as far as they can have passing lane or change the speed limit. Most recent comment about the stormwater going on to the creek. The creek's way over here on our property. I believe we live right here, which it does border up against you. Each of these homes has its own little retention system behind it. Everything's gonna feed down to that pond, so any stormwater should be caught before it goes into the creek and into the pond. It gets treated in a 4-bay system, so it should trap all of the sediment before it goes across the street. Yeah, I don't remember your comments, but comments are in writing.
It was a situation, when we first had the public hearing, was there any clearing of the land?
We cleared it
I can't recall.
3 years ago or something like that. But we had to do all that clearing because we had to get the the system, the equipment in there to do the boring pits for all the septic systems.
Uh-huh.
So every lot up to at least where the septic systems are is cleared, because we had to do 3 holes on every lot, so we had to do all the soil.
So the clearing was done before the public hearing? Yes.
The first time around, yeah.
Okay.
So it was done before the design was done, the original design was done.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been done for a while.
Does anybody have any questions? Ron?
Good evening.
As the engineer on this project, I know you had an opportunity to review the other plans, no changes, significant changes.
to the plan. Okay.
Let me ask you a question on this, on the entrance to Route 2. What would be the procedure to, address maybe changing the speed limit or putting signage up?
I think that's just a request to the Department of Transportation at that point. I mean, they were aware of the project, but I think it would be something we can ask them. They have to look at it, and I'm not exactly 100% sure.
Yeah, the town board would have to pass a resolution, make petition to have the speed limit lowered. Goes to the county sends it to the state.
Because
Then it takes a year before they make their decision.
At least.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what road it is either, right?
Doesn't matter what road.
County road,
Town road, county road.
town road, county road.
I mean, the town could request to have the speed limit lowered on a county road if they wanted
But it's, all roads have to go to the state.
to. Speed limit. Town could also petition to eliminate the passing zone and reduce the passing zone, but again, they'd have to go through a process to request that. That doesn't mean they'll approve it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean they'll approve it.
Okay.
I'd like to also mention too, I mean, versus Heather Ridge, I live on Heather Ridge Road and both sides of the exit are extremely wooded.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be clear, we gotta clear all the way here for the pond and all the way here for this house, so there's gonna be, at least there's gonna be a lot more visibility turning onto the road versus Heather Ridge, so the comparison's not gonna be the same.
You got a permit from DOT for that entrance?
I had a temporary curb cut, I gotta get the,
You got.
I got-
You gotta go
You get the permit.
through the process to get the permit.
Right. I guess unofficially said that it was fine, but you know, but anyway, wait, there's no permit yet.
Okay. Right. Well, there is a record of the public hearing that's going to be generated with our minutes. And the board usually requires a written response to each one of those comments. Whether it be, whatever that comment would be, you would review those after you submit them in. And if we have any questions or we're not satisfied, we'll have to go from there. But we need to get a written response back from you. All right? So with the number of comments there, it's pretty much you need a full written response. So that will be available with the minutes. When would that be available through the
Next week at some point.
next week? It's available on the town website, or we'll send you a copy. All right? And then we can put you on the agenda for our next meeting if you think you can put a response together by our next meeting, which is August 2nd?
First, I think.
First, I think.
or
That'd be tight.
not really, I mean, there's too many questions.
Would you like to review that
I
before?
think that's
Submitted?
That's why I would like to. But I mean, if it's, I can do it first. I didn't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, there was no technical.
There's simple questions, they're not, there's some very simple questions. There's a line of sight, the line of sight has been taken care of by an engineer when it comes to the road. I mean, the drainage has all been taken care of by an engineer or previously approved by everybody here. So with everything being said like that, I understand these people, they're uphill, we're not uphill on them. There's a creek in between them properties. And there's green space that never to be touched. So that property can never be flooded or anything like that. Any water they're seeing right now, it's because it's coming down Heather Ridge Road, and that's where they're seeing it from. They're seeing it from extreme storms. All right? So the questions that have been asked, legitimate questions, they can be answered very quickly, very easily, in a letter, and you guys can receive them. They're not, it should not be a question.
Okay, and you're okay with us putting you on the agenda for our next meeting?
Yeah, August first, you said?
Yeah, I think it's August 1st.
August first.
All right. But we'd like to, if we could get those comments beforehand, to the board so we can review them before the meeting, that would be
I just
nice.
need 2 days to do them, so whatever.
If I could just say, just something.
Sure.
All right? The project proposed prior to us, all right, for a straight-through road, as these people that, talk about. These guys are not looking to build houses without no trees around. This property, when this project is approved, this property is dead. We can no longer build it. And never go to Ricardi Lane, can never happen. All right, so that is satisfied, okay? And as many trees as they can leave up here, they're gonna leave up. They don't want to take any trees out. But that's against what they're trying to do. All right, and as far as your drainage, nobody's looking to run the water towards you. The last person anybody wants to get involved with is a drainage project. All right? So, like I said, questions are simple.
Yeah.
If you get them Anthony in writing, I'm sure he'll answer them for you. But I just see that property as trying to be developed, because I've owned a lot of lots in and around Heather Ridge Road, and I still do. Okay? And I've seen people trying to do things there. And to drive through, it's a kill. You kill the project. You kill that project. If that was ever to go through, property be worth nickels and dimes. Because nobody wants through traffic. All right, you got a dead end street, it's desirable. All right, I mean, single family homes, that dollar amount, you're got no brainer. I mean, that's a perfect development for them.
Do you have a pretty much an idea of the square footage of the houses you probably are gonna be building there?
3,000. Probably average around 2,250, 2,500.
That's an average house. You're looking at a $500,000 house.
Okay.
You know, but houses are limited, that's what they cost.
Yep.
To me, I don't know how they pay for it, but I paid 42 grand for my house at one time. But 500,000, that's what's the market bears.
Okay. I think the concern would be, what level these houses would be at as far as, obviously they don't want apartments. We went through that whole process years ago with this piece of property. Somebody wanted to put apartments up there, so.
We'd love to put apartments in.
No, you won't. No, you don't. All right. Does anybody have any questions on the board here?
Yeah, I do. You were just talking about not cutting trees down. It seems to be, and to me, I remember, originally, you were approved to go in and dig test pits, perk pits. For drainage. That was it. And you've gone in there and you clear cut that whole place. So they're talking to me about cutting trees.
We're far from clear cut.
Well, the trees are down, they're still laying there. I had to cut them down in order to get the rig in there.
It just seemed a little
It was a-
strange.
it was a drill
You don't
rig.
want to cut trees down. You've already cut all the trees down.
Believe me, if all the trees were cut down, we'd have a lot more people in this room. Because you're far from all the trees being cut down. And now, if somebody wanted to buy that piece of property and build a house at the end of it and go in and cut all them trees down, they could do that. Right up to the property line, that'd be their, what they want to do. We, and on the other hand, chose to green that out, not to be cut down. All right, so it's greened out in both sides of the road, not to be cut down. Or you can get one house in there and they can wipe the whole place out.
Oh, can I just clarify that? I don't believe that's true, because I believe there's a restriction on the lots.
Yes, we put a restriction that the greened out areas has to stay green.
That's right.
But if it's ended up expiring and everything went out the window, I could go clear all 44 acres. That's what I'm saying.
That would not occur, man.
Like, when you put trees down, they can't log it. No, but that's what I'm saying, but, no, this is gonna stay green forever.
Right, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right,
Yeah.
so.
So that buffer is gonna exist forever.
That's staying there for a reason.
Yeah, so we want the buffer. Is all we're saying.
But that's not up to the homeowner at that point. It's
Correct.
just-
Correct. It's a deed restriction that when they buy the house, the deed, that area can never be cut out.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll wait for your response to the public hearing and we'll put you on the schedule for our next meeting.
I just had, just before we go, I just had a couple of quick things.
All right,
So on the original conditions that were set forth for the subdivision, there were some items in our last review letter of August 4th of 2022.
okay,
That really need to get incorporated in the plan, so just so that this is a reminder to you that you know, at this point, they could get back and get done as well. And you really have to look at the other conditions and how they would apply to
Correct.
this situation now, where we're not doing two separate roads.
Correct.
And just to remind everybody, we still need to have the water district created and just to go through. Just a reminder.
all right.
That's an extension, isn't it?
That's planning board of it.
That's
That's town board.
Town board, correct.
Town boards.
Yeah, the work is probably the same.
On the cul-de-sac, there's a right-of-way that goes
To the property, to
the
the
property.
west, right?
Yeah, what's that for?
That's for access to that property.
That's, the first guy that owns it.
That was landlocked.
It was landlocked, so we gave him access so he could build I think he could build a.
You want utilities, water, anything like that?
They could build
He's
one
gonna
house
stop on
in
that side of the
there,
power line,
could develop
so-
it, or what's the?
I couldn't tell you, I didn't lay it out, so I'm not sure whether we do it, a lodge or kind of driveway, so we got to do it permissible, but,
It looks like that road frontage is quite large.
I think it's 50 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in theory, yeah, maybe if you can get a road in there, we'll almost act out with that. If the lot's big enough.
That's quite a few acres.
But quite big, only got 20 acres worth.
I don't know how.
And that goes back to the apartments behind
That
Quick
goes,
Shopping?
no, it goes up here. Towards, what's that, east,
I can't see your map.
East Drive.
East Drive, it goes East Road or whatever it is, it's towards that way, but I think you could probably put a house up there. We just would have been landlocked if we didn't give them.
I understand.
Beyond his, can he go the other way if he got,
That question did come up with the last approval, and some people asked, and the response to them was that it would have to go back to the town board if they ever wanted to try to do anything anyways. So.
that's right. Okay. And if they were, if for some reason we were going to try and put a road through there to Riccardi Lane or over to McChesney Avenue, you couldn't anyway, because you gotta go underneath the power line, so you have to go through them.
I don't know if that one would come back to it, I'm not sure.
There's no,
You can't,
there's no right of way being left there.
No, because I'm cutting the right of way off to the right with a lot.
okay,
His land goes the other direction, like
Right.
up under the power lines. That's why I don't think you could ever do anything with it more than a house. Because the power lines, they would never give you permission for a road underneath it.
yeah.
Is that considered a lot?
Not one of our lots, no.
And we consider it a lot.
Because we don't own it, so.
Nothing left to do really.
So you're not deeding over that right of way, you're just giving an easement to it. So technically, he's still landlocked, right? How's that
To the
legally work?
existing lots, and he's acquiring an easement or right of way to at least provide access, but it is an existing lot of record.
But I mean, what I'm asking is, he doesn't have to sell that strict to it in order to make it legal.
That piece of property should be part of deeded right away.
Okay.
Right, so you have a drive on it, but I think you look at it, like a road there, town's not gonna take a road where it's on, that's not an easement, they're not, so.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so are we all set with questions? Are you all set?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, Andy, do you have anything to
Nothing right
add
now.
legally here?
No, nothing right now.
Okay, then I think we're all set.
I should check the meetings or they'll email, so.
We will, we'll email it to you when they're sent over to the town and send them over to you.
All right, well, appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Okay, next on our agenda is Froyo, and that was contingent on a determination from the building department as far as a retail establishment. And we all got a copy of a letter from the building code enforcement, Michael Thomas. And there was a ruling that this was a retail establishment in a residential area. So as of now, this application is off our agenda. We no longer going to consider it. The options for the applicant is to appeal this before the zoning board. So he has been notified of this. And for the record, this determination has been filed with the town clerk. So this will be something we can refer back to and the building department on future applications for similar type things. Okay, moving on to our next agenda is the Marie's News LLC. And just before we get going, this is not a public hearing for this. This is a part of our business meeting as we proceed through this application. So there's not going to be any availability for public comment at this point. A public hearing will be scheduled for. Okay. There's a couple of things that we were discussing beforehand. One was the stormwater issues. And obviously the one that is concerning us right now is the traffic, but in particular, I have some questions, and I think the board does, on actually the changes to the Chesney Avenue. So let's talk about stormwater first. Have you corrected that problem, or is that problem been addressed? Or, is DOT said anything? You got the letter from DOT, right? May 21st, I believe.
Yes, we received that after your meeting last month. Good evening, everyone. Tim Brightside with Global Engineering on behalf of the applicant. Spent some time, so thanks for having us back. We were last year, I think in December. So we've been working with DOT since December. Kind of went through the site plan pretty thoroughly last year. This is our 6th meeting, I think, with this board, so everybody's pretty familiar with the site plan. We've gone through site circulation, parking, all of that site planning aspects. And in December, we were challenged with let's get DOT into the mix and hear from them. So to answer your question, Mr. Chairman, we are still working with DOT on the stormwater aspect. So to bring everybody up to speed, stormwater on the site is very challenging. The topography continues off the back, higher up behind us, big hillside behind us. All that stormwater comes onto our property today, and it actually goes out the 7 driveways out on Hoosick Street into the state DOT system through the catch basins in the peak rainfall events. Otherwise, it's sitting water in the back of the residential houses' yards. We did some additional test pits out there with an excavator, and those yards have a bunch of under drains, kind of spider web throughout, as you can tell that these homeowners have had drainage issues in the past. So as part of this project, we're going to be proposing a new stormwater collection system. Previously, we had submitted with really a larger system on the western lot. Since then, we received some engineering comments in January that asked for separating some systems. And I think that's a good idea here. We're going to have, rather than one large system, we're going to have a handful, maybe 5 different systems scattered across the site, working around the high bedrock and the grading challenges that we have. It'll include underground stormwater detention and then quality treatment units. The detention has to discharge something, it has to drain. We have 2 small areas on the site that promote infiltration, so we're going to try to infiltrate as much as we can on the site. But otherwise, we're going to have to slowly discharge this every rainfall event. So the question with DOT is, are we allowed to discharge to your system? We do today. We analyze it, it all flows out the driveways and out into the catch basin. So our idea was, rather than flowing out into Hoosick Street, let's just have one pipe connection. We can prove that we're reducing the flow to the DOT system, but we still need to send this water somewhere, and it's got to be tributary to where it was tributary before this project. So what's in front of DOT right now is a connection, one pipe connection out to the stormwater drainage system closer to Mohawk. That's the low side of our site. If that doesn't get approved by DOT for this pipe connection, we'll just have to model the overflow systems to act as they do today, but reduce any of that drainage out into the right of way from what happens today. So we'll continue to work through that with DOT. It's consistent on other projects we've worked with. The emergency overflow is preferred to be underground as a pipe connection. DOT generally rule of thumb is no new connections, but in cases where it is there today, they're amenable to keep the drainage tributary to where it is today, as long as it's reduced for the nearest ATPC requirements. So whether there's that connection or not, it doesn't change the site plan. It changes a little bit of the hydrology and the networking of pipes, which is why we haven't responded to the stormwater engineering comments yet. We just need that answer, and then we can fine tune the preliminary slip. But it's just going to change some underground stormwater pipes, but it's not going to change the site. Any questions on stormwater? That was a lot of detail there.
No.
So concurrent with stormwater is working with DOT on the review of the project as a whole and the offsite mitigation that's required to mitigate potential significant impacts from a traffic perspective for this project. So we originally started the conversations with DOT in June of last year. So it's been over a year now working with DOT. We're on our 4th round of traffic study updates. This board back in July of last year motioned to hire Creighton Manning as a third-party review engineer to really take point on the traffic study review. We've been working alongside Creighton Manning and DOT since the board challenged us with that since December. In earlier part of this year, we met here at Town Hall with DOT, town staff, the county, because they're involved, and McChesney, to your question there, to brainstorm the mitigation. Mitigation that was proposed in our original traffic study, and if there was any tweaks or anything more that we could do, even though we believe the traffic mitigation and recommended traffic study was sufficient. Coming out of that meeting, there was a question of, well, can we coordinate these signals with other signals downstream to even have a better impact coming out of this project? So further down at the Lord Ave intersection with Hoosick Street, we were challenged to, do a traffic study down there. What's that look like? And does it make sense to coordinate that with our system? That was updated coming out of this meeting here earlier this year. It was in February. We resubmitted that to the town. Creighton Manning reviewed it. New York State DOT reviewed it. DOT came back and just said the coordination doesn't make sense. We submitted that to this board, I think in May, some of that correspondence that DOT no longer wanted us to pursue the coordination of this signal and Lord Ave, but they also acknowledged that they have no further comments. As previously, we responded to all of their comments on the traffic study mitigation. This plan here, colored site plan hasn't changed since we presented it to the board in December. This shows the proposed mitigation that's going to be required as part of this project. I'll turn it over to Gordon to kind of explain the offsite mitigation, what we're looking at doing, the lane alignments. But that's where we stand. We're here tonight to really re-engage this board. It's been 7 months really since you've seen us, so we've been working hard with DOT in the background. We want to bring this board back up to speed and restart the site plan secret process. So Gordon, maybe you could just explain where we landed with the proposed offsite mitigation. Sure. To help answer the chairman's question about McChesney Avenue too.
I'll bring this up in case I need any documents. Good evening, Gordon Stansbury at GTS Consulting. So originally, when we completed the study, the recommendation was just the turn lane on Hoosick entering our site, eastbound left, and the 2 lanes exiting the site. We initially did not recommend any mitigation on McChesney. Through the rounds of comments, there were concerns with that level of service D and E that we were showing on McChesney. And Craig Manning had requested that we look at a right turn lane to kind of relieve some of the pressure. The analysis that we did really showed that the right turn lane alone didn't have any significant benefit. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and said, how can we redefine the intersection? And going with the more traditional left turn lanes, opposing lefts coming out of our site and coming out of McChesney, and using a bump out lane as a through right allows you to balance traffic volumes a little bit better, because the predominant movement today off McChesney is a left turn. Those volumes are in the range of 150 to 180 cars during the peak hours. So by feeding the existing lane directly to the left turn lane, you're still supporting the primary movement, and having the bump out be the through right balances the volume, so that lane will have about 70 to 80 cars in it. And it ultimately got rid of the levels of service E on McChesney. We're now projecting everything to operate level service D or better. New York State DOT was satisfied with that, and we feel it's the best solution for the intersection.
That intersection has been an issue for bus turning and the truck turning. Is that widening going to alleviate or address any of those turning movements?
So that issue has been brought up a couple times, and when we get into the full design of the intersection, there will be coordination with CDTA to make sure that turning radii are sufficient. But yes, I would expect that it would address it significantly.
So a couple of questions. And I don't have the site plan in front of me, but you're hearing that, but will you have 1 or 2 access lanes in the driveway? Like the one in North Greenwich has 2 lanes.
There will be 2 lanes.
There will be.
Yes.
And what is the total capacity of cars in those 2 lanes before you're out into the road?
Sounds like you're talking about the Chick-fil-A side, the Chick-fil-A
Cars are
drive-through.
pulling in for Chick-fil-A in 2 lanes. How many cars will those 2 lanes handle before nobody can go in?
Which is
Of the drive-through stack.
I think it wants to know the stacking level.
Yeah, sure. So these 2 drive-through lanes are about 330 feet long apiece. So about 33 car stack is what's anticipated in this drive-through in those 2 lanes.
So they can handle 33 cars.
So-
Together, both lanes.
No,
Or each.
Total. Between the 2 lanes is about 33 cars, right? And there is this 3rd lane bypass lane that would be in addition to that can handle an additional 8 to 10 cars.
Yeah, if you use the traditional, in a drive-through, cars tend to stack a little bit closer. But if you use the traditional 25 feet per vehicle, 330 feet would be 13 vehicles per lane, so 26. Plus, you still have stacking in the parking lot, over double that before you ever get in trouble with the adjacent parcel or even get close to backing out on the main road. We've been asked that question by Craig Manning. Previous studies that we've done in the Syracuse area for the Chick-fil-A's that are out there, we've seen maximum queues in the range of 17 to 20 vehicles. So we're very comfortable that everything will be held within the drive-through lanes without even stacking out into the parking lot.
I'm glad you're comfortable.
Well, I'm not gonna deny the fact that, at opening, there's a larger surge, but they use personnel to manage that.
And this entrance, again, is designed purposely on the western side of the site. We want to get that as far away from our main intersection to the site, so as customers approach that drive-through, slow down, or say there is a peak event where it backs beyond, it's not going to lock down the intersection, it's not going to go out to Lucic Street, it's still going to be able to get cars in and out of the neighboring businesses and the Chick-fil-A parking lot.
I know we talked about this before. Obviously, between the two sites, you can go across there, and there's an entrance onto Mohawk, right? Is there, I know you probably have to go across Johnson's driveway to get over to Burger King. Is there any way of creating a back road to navigate through there?
In the future, it could easily be set up to continue this over, but these are two separate private properties before you get to that area. So the applicant's not under ownership of those properties at this time. We're permission to do that.
Because I know that's one of the things that always comes up in conversations with DOT. And we did that with, address that issue a little bit with the Planet Fitness site, where people can actually come from in front of the Kentucky Fried Chicken Hillcross to get the light from Hillcrest. Of course, to do that, you want to see anything coming out, but it was designed to do that.
Yeah, I believe, in the discussions at the meeting, we talked about having that ability in the future, either at the front or back of the site, and everyone agreed that the back was the logical location. So the way it's laid out doesn't prohibit that from being happening.
Could you speak to the pedestrian accommodations along the mitigation area and Mohawk and then across?
Yes, as part of the mitigation, state DOT has already noted that we will be required to provide pedestrian crossing for McChesney, one crossing on Hoosick, and pedestrian crossing on the driveway. So there will be crosswalks and pedestrian signals and the whole 9 yards. That's certainly a requirement.
And have you talked to the county about accommodations along McChesney?
So the county was included on our workshop here with the town. Sidewalks were discussed, and coming out of that meeting, there were no corridor plans for sidewalks to continue. So at that meeting, they were not interested in the sidewalks. But then we'll also have accommodations into both facilities. So we've got a public right-of-way and ADA connection for lot one. And what we wanted to do here was, rather than having customers cross the drive-through, we're routing them up here to a stop condition and into the front of the store, which is actually the back, the way the drive-through is oriented.
And the sidewalk improvements on the corners of McChesney will wrap around so that they'll be there if the county wants to connect.
When they had the opening over in Route 4, they had traffic out into Route 4 and so forth and so on at the grand opening for several months after that. How does the stacking capacity of that store compare to this one? I mean, are they gonna have a similar problem where they may have to have police or something directing traffic or denying entrance into at this time?
You might be able to talk a little bit more to the opening manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Sorry, pause.
Plug it?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is actually a similar layout to the North Greenbush location. This does have the 3 lane that North Greenbush doesn't have, so this has more on-site stacking capacity. But regardless of the capacity of the drive-through, the town, the local police, and emergency personnel all need to be involved as part of the grand opening of these locations. And Chick-fil-A has made that clear that that's part of their program moving forward. So they'll have a grand opening team engaged about a month or so ahead of grand opening to coordinate the opening with the town, see if there's any activities going on in the area that may impact traffic flow, not just from their opening, if there's something else going on in the community, and work with, we'll hire either security detail or hire off-duty cops at the time to help facilitate traffic control for the opening. I would imagine here they would station a cop right at that intersection for the opening period, and then help manage that until it dies off. Usually about 2 weeks later, it starts to decrease. The difference here compared to the opening of North Greenbush is everybody here went to North Greenbush already.
Everybody here, what?
Everybody here has already been to North Greenbush. So North Greenbush was the first to market, right? So the closest other facility to North Greenbush when we opened was 2 hours away. So here, this is really the third to market. City of Albany is under construction, so this will be 4th to market. So we don't expect the grand opening period to be as heavy as North Greenbush and Clifton Park were, because they were really the first to market. But it will be higher than normal activity, and they'll engage with the town ahead of time to make sure there's a plan in place.
Is it anticipated that all 3 buildings will be constructed at the same time?
Right now, that's the way it's lining up. It all depends on the lease deal and the other tenants moving forward, but the way it's lining up right now is that's the intent.
And does the applicant have tenants for those other 2 buildings?
They do. They're patiently waiting to sign the line, just because this process is taking a little bit longer than anticipated. They do have 1 full restricted tenants, but the leases are finalized depending on the approvals and what the time is going to be.
And they're still in line with what the original, well, back in December, what the proposed uses of those buildings were?
Yeah, another quick serve restaurant, no order point there. It's like a pickup, order ahead and pickup facility, and then a mattress facility at this time.
Now, on this plan here, do you have the actual proposed lanes that you're going to have for McChesney Avenue?
Yes, so that's the lane alignment or the intent. We conducted additional survey out there to make sure there's enough width for this widening. There is the next step with this mitigation, now that DOT has conceptually accepted it, Creighton Manning's conceptually accepted it, and if there's any other changes coming out of tonight, the next step is to move forward with the formal design of the roadway improvements and the traffic signal, because that'll be about a year process with DOT in itself. So it'll look similar to this, but there's a lot of design features to work on, DOT on, and the county for
I'm going to ask Wayne this as far as having materials available to the public to have a public hearing. What do we need as far as that intersection?
Well, typically, we request that the plans be complete enough so that the public has all the information so that they can comment on the application. That includes, geometry of the intersection. That would include stormwater. I mean, if DOT's not going to allow them to discharge into their system, point discharge in that catch basin, it could substantially change the stormwater design. So typically, we like to see the plans to be, I'll call it substantially complete before we schedule a public hearing, so that the public has enough information when they come to public hearing.
Yeah.
How would you like to respond to that?
Well, just in my opinion, these plans are substantially complete. I know there's some fine details to work out with, but we're talking fine details of shifting some underground pipe and shifting a curb line of McChesney, but this alignment is gonna stay the same, the turn lanes, the arrows to the left, the arrows to the right. That stuff's not changing. It's a big effort to go through traffic signal design plans. I mean, you're talking, from start to finish, it's a six-figure investment to get through the DOT design process. If there's substantial public comments that need to be implemented in the project and in the design documents, that's important to know. And these plans show the intent, show the site plan, show what you're going to see above ground at a substantial letter that I feel warrants that comment period. The other question is also secret. So we also have to navigate the secret process with this project too. And that is exactly what Wayne's talking about, is you need to make sure that the stormwater is going to work or from a secret perspective. You need to make sure the traffic mitigation is going to work from a secret perspective. So I guess I would ask the same question, public hearing is one thing, but secret is also another of what additional information this board might need to support the secret determination and where that falls in this process.
Andy, would you like to make a couple comments on that secret process that we're trying to get through this right now?
Sure. So as the board knows, to make their secret determination, you have to have adequate information in front of you to determine whether the proposed action could result in a potential significant adverse environmental impact. That's the standard. Not that it will, the standard is there the potential that the project would create a significant adverse environmental impact? If the answer to that is yes, in the board's opinion, you are serving as lead agency, and you'd adopt a positive declaration, and the applicant would be required to go through the environmental impact statement process. That would include scoping, preparation and submission of a draft environmental impact statement on which a public hearing would be held, and then a final environmental impact statement, and the board would make findings. And once that process was completed, the board could move forward and then act on the site plan. If based on that record, the board determines that there is not the potential for at least one significant adverse environmental impact, again, based on the technical information in the record to date, and you'd adopt a negative declaration and could move forward and consider the site plan. Before any action on the site plan can be held, you do need to complete your secret determination. So that's the legal standard that you face, and you'll coordinate with Wayne on the review of the record, on the review of the environmental assessment form information, the technical studies that have been submitted to date, principally the stormwater and the traffic studies. Confirm on the record that the board has retained a separate traffic engineering expert consultant coordinated through Wayne's office on the review of all the traffic information. All of that's in the existing record. You'll coordinate with Wayne, and you should make a secret determination, the POSDEC or NEGDEC on this, so the applicant, again, can address and complete the secret process on the action.
And what is the timeline for a public hearing in that recommendation? We can have the public hearing before our secret determination or not?
Your practice, Russ, as you know, you have on certain projects along the Hoosick Road corridor addressed seeker first. That was done certainly for the, I'll call it the Leon project with the Kentucky Fried Chicken and the Aldi's and the Wendy's, and you first addressed seeker on that issue. You certainly addressed seeker first on what had been the proposed apartments to the rear of that project site. There are other projects where you move forward and open the public hearing to allow the public to provide comment to you so that the board could consider public comments in connection with the environmental impacts. That's within the board's discretion. That procedure is not specifically spelled out in the town's site plan regulations. It is spelled out in state law with subdivisions, but it is not with site plans, and we're here on site plan jurisdiction. So that's within the discretion.
There is actually a subdivision application. 2 is part of this project. I don't know if that plays into a mix with the lot consolidation.
Well, you refresh my recollection. It does. So with respect to a subdivision, there is a requirement under state law that the secret determination be made prior to the public hearing. So you should coordinate with Wayne on a review of the technical record and be prepared to discuss a potential secret determination on the action prior to scheduling a public hearing. Yeah, thank you, Tim.
No, absolutely. All right, so what I'm hearing is, let's move forward and provide a formal response to your stormwater letter. We'll continue working with DOT on the drainage connection. Hopefully we can have an answer on that for that stormwater review and get engineering comfortable from a stormwater perspective. Traffic. Are there any further questions, any further documents, any further Creighton Manning reviews that the board may need to help make this secret determination? We've got the latest correspondence from DOT is no further comments. What that triggers is the next stage of the highway work permit review with DOT. That's submitting formal design plans for their review.
I don't want to interrupt you, but when you say DOT's given a letter of no further comments, do you have that one?
It's it's the email we submitted.
Yeah, it was an email.
Is that standard practice from DOT, just an email? Or are they going to issue a letter?
Yes.
More and more, you're not getting formal correspondence on DOT.
We certainly got one in May. That's why I asked if there's going to be a formal correspondence on the traffic issue.
And thank you for bringing up that May letter. So that May letter also requested a traffic study. So there's 2 different divisions that have clearly responded from DOT. One from the secret distribution who hasn't been involved on this project through the traffic study review, and then the email correspondence from permitting that has been involved from the traffic
Well,
correspondence.
we could request maybe something in writing,
Yeah.
a formal correspondence from DOT based on their email.
Yeah. But I did find that letter funny that they were requesting a traffic study. We went back and forth with DOT 4 or 5 times on this.
Will Creighton Manning then respond to the letter for correspondence from DOT to us? Or we just take it from
So
there?
Creighton Manning's latest letter suggested that we submit a coordinated analysis to DOT. That was really the only action item coming out of their April memo, I believe. And then the DOT correspondence was that they don't want the coordination. So maybe coming out of this meeting, we can ask that question to Creighton Manning if they have, if they would like any further information from us, or if that is their final letter.
I can reach out to them and see if they're
Satisfied.
they're satisfied with their response to their last round of comments.
I got to ask a dumb question. The letter that we got on May 21st was signed by a Robert E. Rice. You know this person?
We don't work with him in the permitting office. The permitting office has been Guy Tedesco, and then his CC there for Matt Haggerty and Wyatt are the individuals that we work with. My response was related to the secret distribution, so it
Okay.
must be a different department that goes to.
Oh, okay, I see what, okay.
Planning and program management.
Okay. All right. Was there anything in that letter that piqued your interest or was something that you want to discuss at all?
We can breeze through it quickly. They acknowledge that the town's lead agent. Comment number 2, they kind of hinted towards the development being oversized for the lot size, but they have the wrong lot size noted here. They're saying it's 1.5 acres. Of the overall project is about 2.5 acres. So that would be why the gut check of imagining that it's small was there. They talk about the town's comprehensive plan and just making sure that the board reviews that as part of the determination on this project. And I'll just note, this same letter also requests for traffic studies, right? So the traffic impact assessment that we've been working on is to prove that there's going to be no significant impact to the corridor from this project with the noted mitigation. Right? So without the mitigation, sure, you could argue that there's going to be a significant impact, but that's why we're committing to a full traffic signal rebuild, widening of McChesney, adding these turn lanes, closing 7 unsignalized roadways to Lucid Road today, so combining to shared access. 3 principal uses, so 1 driveway. So that's all the access management plan that's coming out of this project that I would argue is in harmony with the comprehensive plan of the town. Item 3 talks about good ideas for the town to consider in their corridor study. I feel like the town is going through a corridor study from the town limits of Hoosick Street. CDTA should be certainly a part of that, and I'm sure they are. To look at, it's been completed. So to look at bus shelters, pedestrian crosswalks in other areas of the town, but we just can't do that. We're looking at our parcel, not private property elsewhere. 4 is acknowledgement of the EAF. 5 is the drainage discussion that we were talking about. 6 is requesting permits. 7 is request for a traffic study that we talked about. 8 is acknowledging potential utility permits, and that was the substance of the letter. So really the bulk of DOT's review has been through the permitting office, which has been thoroughly reviewing the traffic study and the proposed site development plans.
What do you make of the comment in paragraph 2 at the end that says this proposed project may be inconsistent with these goals?
Yeah, so that's the discussion of the comprehensive plan that I just mentioned. It's making that determination without reviewing a traffic impact study. The purpose of the traffic impact study is to prove that we are consistent with those goals by managing our traffic.
Yeah.
And we're thoroughly investing in this intersection to manage our traffic.
Does anybody have any questions on this letter? I mean, this was basically the, acknowledging that you were the lead agency and so forth and so on. But I did put in some comments about the project, some comments in about CDTA, I would say helpful suggestions. But you say that the other letter that you're trying to get for the permit process is a whole different department of DOT. Right.
Do we know if there's been any other secret responses to the notice, or was this the only response that the town received?
We did receive one from DEC, just reviewing their general permit jurisdiction, stormwater, with no objection to the board serving as lead agency.
Could we get a copy of that letter too?
Did we get a response from the county?
I'm not aware if it's been forwarded to the county under 239M yet. We'll check the file. We're certainly, that the practice of this board has been to forward to the county for review and recommendation once the plan advances to the point where we think it's appropriate for public hearing.
They did respond once. Planning did respond on this application once.
Is
said
it?
that they were an interested party.
Yeah.
Not involved.
Do we have to,
Yes, but then we recirculated lead agency because of the potential improvements on Chesney, which is a county highway.
I don't know that we got anything back from them.
I don't believe we had a county response to the recirculation of the lead agency. So the 239M review still needs to be completed.
Are we at a time that we should do that? I feel like we are, especially now we've been involved, and President Chesney is now integrated into the project. Is that something that we could distribute?
Subject to, I think, Wayne's review of your coordination on the engineering, just to make sure that Wayne's comfortable with the plan being sent to the county for
We
review and
don't
recommendation.
have that plan, correct?
You have the site plan, all we did was just throw
Right,
that.
we don't, I don't have the potential or proposed changes to the Chesney Ave.
They were just depicted in the
Yeah,
traffic study.
graphic.
and on that image.
Yep.
But, I'll share this, with Wendy tomorrow so she can circulate to the board. That's just come out by 17, but I'll email it to you as well. Should we go ahead and send this to the county or?
No, we do that. Well,
Yeah.
in terms of coordinating the review and recommendation, the building will forward that down to the county. And
We're comfortable doing that at this timeframe?
no, subject to review, Wayne's review and coordination with you. You indicated you coordinated and responded to his engineering comments. I think once Wayne determines he's comfortable with the site plan being forwarded to county planning, then it'll be sent down.
So we've submitted the full design documents. The only thing that's changing there is the underground stormwater. We'll coordinate on the SWIP. So I feel like we're comfortable there. Do we have to come back to another meeting in order to make that determination, or make a review in the background before it's?
That's correct. That's kind of an administrative review once Wayne's okay.
Okay.
The building department will. Yeah.
Yeah, we understand that that signal's gonna take a long time to get approved by DOT. In the past, we proceeded before the final signal plan were done, like it was now.
Yeah, and that would be
We
the,
conceptually can have something.
yeah, that would be the request here, just so it's clear. In order to make the deals happen and sign leases and make everybody comfortable moving forward to the next steps, there would need the approvals and not waiting for DOT, which sometimes takes up to a year for their formal.
Yeah, we can't make a condition.
Any other information from a secret perspective that might help the board? So we talked traffic, we talked stormwater, then background utilities, the EAF includes the state store, maps, noise, odor, all of that is incorporated into secret.
From a technical standpoint, I think we've covered those items. We've been through the long form EAF already, with the changes. I have to go through the seeker input, see what, thresholds are for severity of impact.
Our last submission did have a secret narrative where we kind of went overboard on the part two that we find helpful as you know, do that assessment. So, great.
All right.
Well, very good. Thanks so much for your time. It's good to be back here. And
So we'll get Wayne's review. Do we want to put them on a schedule for an upcoming meeting? Not at this point?
I will say I'm on vacation next week, but
What's the
I
next
won't
meeting
look at it
after?
until I get back.
First, whether it would be the 15th.
That one would be probably more realistic because Wayne had to review the engineering comments and for us to speak with DOT versus the next meeting.
All right. We will tentatively put you on the agenda for the 15th. All right.
I'll definitely have my review done.
Okay.
But if you can get that stormwater worked out before then too, that'd be great.
All right. Anybody have any other questions?
It will be important, like Wayne indicated, if we've got a plan that clearly shows all the intersection improvements, rather than a traffic study, a separate plan that would be helpful for the board members and the public.
Sure.
All right.
Very good. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. All right. Okay, moving on. Next on our agenda is the Walmart recommendation to the town board. Is there any representatives from Walmart here? All right, I think we got a packet at the last meeting possibly. I got correspondence here dated June 20th. This has to do with seeking to amend the existing Brunswick Square Plan Development District to allow seasonal sales of lawn and garden supplies from March through July annually in the northerly end of the existing parking lot in proximity to Hoosick Road and the existing garden center at Walmart. Looking at the drawing that they have here, I would assume that this is the area pretty much that was the online pickup.
That's
area.
correct. It's where the spots were designated for grocery pickup for online
Yeah.
sale.
And I think if everybody remembers correctly, that was now shifted to the side of the building where they used to have pallets of mulch and garden stuff. And so, in essence, they're just switching locations for the most part. And we are charged with a written recommendation to town board on this because it's an amendment to PDD.
Correct.
So I haven't, did everybody get a copy? It also includes the project site plan and narrative together with part one of the full environmental assessment form for this action. Everybody get that? All right. So we are now going to discuss a letter of recommendation. And then Andy's going to bring up a draft.
Correct.
And I believe that we have a meeting before the next town meeting. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. You're meeting August 1 and the town board only August 8.
Yeah, we can review that and make any changes and forward a recommendation to the town board. I think initially, just to get the conversation started, it seems to me that it's like a switch of areas. That area was already designated out of the parking lot. I think it consists of 15 parking places, if I'm not mistaken. That was the change?
I think it's listed in the narrative, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 or 16 parking spaces.
Yeah, okay. It says Walmart proposes to use a portion of their parking lot for seasonal outdoor sales annually from March to July. The seasonal outdoor sales area will temporarily reduce the overall parking count by 16 parking spaces. Types of the materials that will be stored there will include mulch and potting soil. There will be no hazardous chemicals or fertilizer stored in this area. Mulch and potting soil will be stacked to a maximum height of 6 feet. No tents, canopies, fences, coverings, or any other enclosures will be used. Customer vehicle access will be allowed for loading only, no parking. So if you look at the drawing, it basically is where once again, the pickup area was for the groceries.
And for the board's information, the town board did hold a public hearing on this at their meeting last week, and one additional bit of information, Jim, you can confirm for me, that there will be no power extended there. So there's no additional utility there, there's, outside cash register. It will simply be the area for the bulk soil and mulch in those months.
Did they indicate their order of operation for this facility, since the interior of the store is now mostly locked down for customers and needing to require access to such
That's a fair point.
things?
The best that they described, and they did have a representative of their engineering firm, was it would be run very similar to what you experience at Lowe's or Home Depot, where you purchase inside and bring out a slip, drive up with your car, and the slip to an employee who would then load your car with the materials outside.
Well, from my previous experience, just off the record, when they used to have the mulch and everything like that, used to go in and pay for it, get your slip, come out, and I don't remember ever seeing an employee look, check the slip or anything. Like, it was pretty much on an honor system. But, I don't know if that's changed. I think probably some people would concur with me on that.
It was at least presented that there'd be someone in the front parking lot loading the car.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, I'm not gonna get into this. Okay, as far as a recommendation, I don't see any reason why not to recommend that they be allowed to do this.
I'm against it. I was against it when they tried to do it, when they first came in with that. They made a big speech about they had to have all the extra parking spots, tried to get a little grass, couldn't do it, couldn't get any grass. Then I asked about just putting stuff in the parking lot, and they said, oh yeah, we want to do that. And I'm like, I just see it as being an eyesore with broken pallets, and there's a lot of people use those parking spaces when you go in. Those spaces are always full. They got a lot of room over where that online pickup where nobody goes. I'm against it. I've seen it down in East Greenbush, and it's a mess. I don't think if we go by our comprehensive plan, then we don't want a mess on the front door in Brunswick. I mean, you guys can. I'm just one boast, but that I didn't like it.
Your comments are welcome. I mean, I don't know exactly how many spots they actually use along that side of it for the online grocery shopping. Certainly, if there's room, why not put it down there? But I don't have a full, they didn't supply a full site plan with that portion of the well, Andy, what was there was a decision made on all those containers.
Right, the town board determined that that portion of the proposal did not merit further review and denied that portion of the proposal, so there will be no container unit storage in the parking lot. Current proposal is limited to the mulch, pot, and topsoil bulk sale in the corner of the parking lot we're discussing closer to Hoosick Road.
So actually being consistent with that, thought, the town didn't want all those containers out in front. So why would they want to allow for the mulch and everything in front? I mean,
This is the first year they didn't have mulch in the parking lot.
yeah,
They've always had topsoil, mulch, stone, firewood
Along that
along the
side,
fence,
along the fence where it was not in the front.
and it was a lot more than 16 spots too.
Well, the thing is now they have that, remember they moved so that technically those spots are taken. But you think that there's more room down there as you move towards the
I
rear
feel
of
like
the
they're
building?
numbered all the way back.
It's an outdoor warehouse. I mean, they don't pay tax on it, like you would if it's a structure. I'm sure the assessor doesn't go and go, well, this is a warehouse, it should be assessed more, we should be getting more taxes from it. But it's the same with those storage things. I don't think they come in and say we put 10 units down, so many square feet, that ought to be assessed at so much more on our taxes. But I've seen them in East Greenbush, and it just looks, it's an eyesore. I mean,
No, I mean, they had them in Lowe's. They had the first, you will go into Lowe's.
Yeah, I
I think they have them
honestly
in front
don't
of-
go into Lowe's or Home Depot anymore.
I mean, if Home Depot had one right there as you turn out of that main intersection.
If they bring a Home Depot to Brunswick, I'll oppose it. Home Depot in Brunswick, I don't know, it's like, but there's 7 people on the board, you guys, we can discuss it, figure it out. But
Okay, guys, weigh in on this. What are we gonna recommend, that they denial or what?
If you go by there any day, the parking lot is full. So now you're gonna take 16 parking spaces out of it.
And I have to agree with Dave, those are prime parking.
They're prime parking spaces you're gonna take out of the store. I don't see it.
Last year, there were pickup spots.
Maybe there's a better location for it, but it's not. So apparent to the traveling public coming through the town of Brunswick.
You have to decide on the other side, but there's parking places down there that are very, very unusual. Entrance that goes on to, McChesney Avenue there. I mean, of course, then it's at the opposite end of where the garden center is. I didn't see the garden center being that well stocked this year. They didn't seem to have stuff hanging outside as much as they used to. That's just my opinion. Kevin, you've been quiet tonight.
I'm not particularly in favor of either, I'll be honest with you. I think it's gonna be very hard for the police to keep it constrained to that area. I tend to agree with Dave. I think other locations, Home Depot and Lowe's, I think it tends to look kind of disheveled and messy and uncontrolled as well. I particularly am not in favor of anything else with that. There might be some other spot on the site that might be more conducive to it, but I think in general, I think the merchandise should be either in front of your store or in your store and not out in your parking lot. I think it just invites another risk of accidents and the site getting out of control.
Anybody else have any comments? Any additional comments? Don?
I agree with Kevin. Doesn't lend itself to controls.
I got a quick question, maybe somebody can answer that I don't see. Why do they have the pickup area for the groceries at the opposite end of the store? Why is it over at the other ends? Where the grocery store is?
It's not just groceries. It's all their online stuff. You can order stuff and they bring it out to your vehicle,
Oh, okay.
TVs and stuff.
They reconfigured the store to the interior of the store to allow a section that has exterior access.
Okay.
And I think, I could be wrong, but I think the other side of the store has the refrigeration in it. Again, I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
Behind the deli.
So do I get the consensus of opinion that we recommend that they not do this and find another location? Preferably, maybe at the east end where the garden center is, along the side or something like that?
Well, within the garden center.
Why can't they
That's
just
what it
remove
was
it?
designed for.
Does everybody agree with that? I guess. Just a straw vote. We're not in favor of, using the parking lot, or any part of the front of the store for this type of purpose. All right. So, there's our
I
recommendation.
will draft something, circulate it to you, you can review it at your office first meeting.
Okay. All right. All right. Any further discussion on that? Okay, that concludes our regular agenda. We do have a couple items on new business. Things I think everybody's been waiting for. There are two solar projects. The major one is the one on McChesney Avenue. This is CVE. CVE, I believe, is the same one that did Bel Air.
That's correct.
As everybody knows, the moratorium has now been lifted on the solar project. It has expired, basically.
It was not renewed.
Yes. So now we have these two projects. I know you just got this stuff today. We had some preliminary information about the one on McChesney Avenue, I think, but this is the formal application. This big thing here, so it's obviously, did everybody get sent in? Well, you got the plans in here, they're small. I got the big ones. I'm solar. So I would say let's take a look at this. I guess most of them, we just want to come in for the initial presentation. Would that be correct, Andy, at this point?
I would think so, correct.
Okay, the second one is the one on the Calhoun's farm. This would be just off of there, I guess it's Gypsy Road. How big is it? How big is the one on McChesney Avenue? That's 91. 91, but what's the capacity of this one?
Taking a quick look, Russ, it looks like they are proposing two projects. It looks like there's technically two lots there. One would be 2 megawatt and one would be 5 megawatt.
Okay. And this one is 10 megawatt. So this one's bigger.
That's correct.
This one hooks right to the substation.
Calhoun? I don't know.
You have one lot in between there, I think.
What's the limit when they go to,
Just to the state? 20.
This isn't community solar then? Usually those are 5.
That's why I think they've split these
Yeah.
into technically separate sites, all of them 5 megawatts or less, so they qualify for community solar. Then
This
I think it's
Calhoun
25.
Community solar, that's a.
Or it just goes to the state.
I think you're right, I think there's 2 lots on
Yeah.
this one.
be 5 megawatts on the
I'm
west
here
side.
for Calhoun. I can answer questions if that'd be helpful.
Well, the procedure, that's fine, but the procedure of the board at the first meeting is simply reviewing the material. It's clearly up to the discretion of the board.
Okay.
Anybody want to hear from, we'll give you the floor for a few minutes.
I'll just, I'll do it quick.
Okay.
I just hear you asking questions that I can answer pretty quickly.
I think the main thing is it's two separate
Yep.
parcels.
That's right, and you gave the location correctly. It's at
Can you state your name?
Steve Long from Sole Source Power.
Can you tell us who you are and all that?
Yep, I work for Sole Source Power. I am one of the developers. The actual developer of this project is Lee McIntyre. She had another planning board meeting, so I'm covering for her. I do development and civil engineering. So I work with her to lay out this. I walked this site. This site is going to be on the Calhoun Farm. Like you were saying, it's right across from, at the corner here, is the Calhoun Farm stand. So it's right across from that. It's 67 acres total. We're going to lease the whole property and then use a separate sublease for each. It's 5 megawatts. Each one is 5 megawatts. So you're correct, it's 10, but each one is 5.
Okay.
There's a wetland that goes to the middle that we're going to be avoiding. Access is going to be off Gypsy Lane. They're each being closed separately by a 7-foot high fence. As typical solar projects. We intend to meet all aspects of the code, not asking for any variances.
Just a general question, because I don't want to get into a whole bunch of details here.
Yep.
But obviously, the big concern is visual impact and so forth and so on. And I would assume that you would at least see the one end of that solar field from 142.
Yep.
And as far as houses around that, so forth and so on,
There's one on Gypsy Lane. I think that they've got substantial vegetation in front of their house, but there aren't. At the corner is Peter Calhoun. It's right behind his house. And then there aren't many houses that are right there.
Okay. We have an opportunity to take a look at that. Obviously, we don't have a formal application in yet or anything like that.
Yeah, I know visuals are really important to the board, and I guess we would like to come with our application with some visual simulations, and I was gonna ask like where you thought those would be appropriate, so that next time we can come and see the image ones that you would like to see.
Well, like I said, we just got this material tonight. I think maybe give us an opportunity to take a look at this and we can put you on for, a formal presentation under, on the agenda for our next meeting.
I think we need to
Do a little bit more. I think the other one is a little bit more.
positively, and we just want to come here and answer any questions like we're doing here, and hear of any concerns and visuals that they want, I guess, which we'll try to address. And anything else you think of.
You're just hooking into the main, up the road lines, not the substation.
It'd be distribution lines, not transmission lines, so it'd be a 3-phase long road.
Do you know how full that? Had a guy in here before the moratoriums talking about substations are full, no room for anybody else, and that substation was supposed to be full, and now you're putting 10 more in.
We would have a better idea. This is her project, and I know we had preliminary discussions with National Grid, so we felt pretty comfortable that we could fit 10 on this site after talking with them. So that's what we're pursuing. How much capacity that has, I don't know. We've been following that more closely than I, but she could speak to it when we submit our application for sure.
All right. Then if you're okay, we'll, maybe extend it out to our second meeting in August.
whole application together with the back.
All right, so, why don't we just tentatively put you on that? If you need more time, just,
So the second meeting in August.
yeah, which is, I think, the 15th.
Okay. That works.
Okay,
Yep. Thank you very much.
all right. Yeah, Lee will be upset.
Really upset. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Russ, on the CVE application, you want that on your next agenda?
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, to present. I'm gonna presume we'll bring our attorney project team in.
All right, might as well get it going.
So is this the first time we've seen anything on this one? We didn't receive anything before, correct? We never got that.
We had a preliminary meeting, I think.
It's the Beacon property.
It is.
We'll look at it.
He was in here once with it.
But they never actually submitted.
He got caught right at the beginning of the moratorium.
Well, there was one that got, who was the one on, where was that? There was one that we almost approved, and there was a moratorium. You had a public hearing on it.
Oh, Ryan Hannaford?
He's old.
No, that one was approved, that made it in.
You did approve a project on Oakwood, on Murley's property.
Yes.
That was approved and is being built out.
So the only one that was out there hanging was the McChesney. Right?
Well, there was one on the landfill.
Yeah, that's the one.
That got-
On what?
that- On the landfill.
That's more.
I Oakwood
Also
Avenue.
really
Interesting. I don't recall that.
came and we said, well,
No,
That's Merle.
That's where Merle was on the brownfield.
Yeah.
And they couldn't clean it up.
That's correct.
We did the one by the paintball.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the
That one
landfill.
moved to the paintball.
Move to the paintball. They had
And they're
some-
building the one on 278, the Wendy Bucks.
Didn't you have one off of, what is it, Sutter's Lane or off of 2? by the bridge.
Two was one
Yeah,
proposed.
that Luis guy. Yeah.
Right, so
That was
those,
utility grade, that wasn't hot.
that, well, there, he was proposing two locations, one off of Route 2 and one off with access off McChesney. Both sites required a use variance, because both sites were within residential districts. So those weren't in front of this board yet. They required use variances, and the zoning board had been reviewing that, but that was suspended during the moratorium.
So they may be back.
Possibly, I don't know the answer to that. They've not been put on the zoning board agenda.
Well, this one here, this one on McChesney Avenue, I know we're gonna get a lot on that. Because that is sitting right out there. There's no way it's not gonna be visible. You know what I mean?
We'll let the applicant present their proposal.
Okay. So you wanna put that, we're gonna put those on for the first.
Can the building department reach out to them and see if August 1 works for them scheduling wise?
Yeah.
And if yes,
If not, we can opt to the 15th or.
maybe August 1 tentative.
So let's review August 1st. We got Brunswick Acres probably coming back. We got Walmart with a letter of recommendation. And now we have the CBE, McChesney Avenue solar. Is that, am I missing anything?
Chick-fil-A is not coming back, right?
No, Chick-fil-A is not coming back. So possibly on the 15th.
What happened to the storage units?
Storage units?
At the end of Carol's Hill.
The zoning board did act on the area variances. he still needs to advance his site plan then at this board.
So we have a public hearing for that, or on 7, and he's had one with zoning, right?
We did have, that was a mandatory public hearing for the
Right.
variances. There were neighbors that attended that public hearing. So that public hearing on a site plan, although as I sit here, is it subject to check in the building department? Was that just site plan or special use permit as well for the self-storage at that location? If there's a special use permit requirement, and my recollection is you held a public hearing on the Tie Bush one because it required a special use permit, then it would be a mandatory public hearing in front of this board. Even if it were just site plan, it'd be within your discretion. If you wanted to
He's
hold
on
it.
7.
Yeah.
Just, what's that?
Does anybody have any old business they want to discuss?
I have a question for Randy. On a Chick-fil-A, we have to have a public hearing for the waiver, correct?
Excuse me?
Chick-fil-A is looking for a waiver too, correct?
They're looking for whether it's a waiver or a minor subdivision, I can't recall, but it was raised
Minor
tonight.
subdivision.
It's minor
It's a minor subdivision mandatory public hearing. On the site plan, your practice has been for these commercial projects along the Hoosick Road corridor, you hold a public hearing. So there'd be a public hearing on this, correct?
But they can run concurrently, right? Can they?
Yes.
So we have two separate public hearings, or we combine before this?
So-
Usually combine.
Yeah.
Combine them.
Usually they do run concurrently, and recall there are variance requests as well, pending in front of the zoning board. It's within your board's discretion. You have talked about holding a joint meeting and joint public hearing, so both boards can hear the public comments on the project as a whole.
So how does that work with secret timeline?
So you, based on tonight's discussion, will be making a seeker determination. It depends on what that determination is. If there's a negative declaration adopted, then you proceed with scheduling and holding your public hearing, and you can move forward and then act on those applications. If there's a positive declaration, then you cannot hold the public hearing until the draft EIS is accepted as complete. And then the public hearing will also be on the DEIS.
So obviously the traffic is an important part, or integral part of that discussion. Is Creighton Manning doing the traffic study, right? For us?
They reviewed their traffic study. Creighton Manning reviewed their traffic study.
So will they be coming in to give us recommendations?
They gave me everything in the writing. They're just reviewing what the applicant provided, and then commented on it. We did that a couple of cycles. So there's written material on their comments.
If DOT doesn't take that water, what's he gonna do with it?
Good question. I don't know.
So is it true the mitigation at the intersection satisfies the issues with DOT?
Satisfies some of the issues of DOT.
What
That
doesn't?
was my question.
So,
So the answer is no. Because he made it sound like DOT was satisfied, provided it.
they're satisfied with the mitigation of the capacity issues that from the application. Does that make sense?
Meaning volume. Going through the corridor.
Well, it's volume and capacity, and queuing.
Do they ever mention in their response about the stacking in the turning lane going east that would potentially may extend in front of the curb cuts on the other side of the street? You know, as it moves towards, you know, the Price Chopper.
I'd have to look at it, the comments again.
Yeah. That way, you know, you're gonna get, the initial surge is gonna come from the west, from the city,
Well,
from Troy,
so-
from,
I agree, I agree a lot from.
I think you're gonna
you
get.
know, and if you got this turning lane going east, you know, just before the proposed, well, the light
Yeah.
at Chesney, to turn into the Chick-fil-A, you could potentially stack 20 cars through there, and then nobody can cross over going west to,
You can only stack as many as that light causes it to be stacked. Make sense?
yeah, but if they have nowhere to go, you know, when the light changes, all, you know, it's stacked inside the store, then what do they do?
Perhaps.
I'm just looking at a worst case scenario.
Get back out to the farm. They back out to the farm before
No.
snow season.
All right. If there's nothing else,
Linda's comment was one that the board may want to consider, which is this going to be built all at once or phased? Because if it were phased, there might be some extra room on that project site for stacking.
Make everybody turn right and go all the way around.
Just observing.
Cut across.
Phasing plans are not unusual.
no, I thought we discussed that.
Well, we commented on that in our.
They said that, you know, that's a possibility.
I don't think I got
Hours, and they came today, they said they're gonna build the whole site together.
Good comment, Wayne.
What about the added traffic from the other restaurant?
Who cares?
I think the theory is,
You know, once the glass is full.
once the initial
You're not gonna add
rush
any more water to it.
of the new store dies down, because they do tend to die down after the news. They're not simply a order and drive-through, that there's enough, presumably, I'll let the traffic engineers answer that, but there's enough room on that site to handle both.
They built that, they built the Sonic in Latham. They had 3-hour wait to get Sonic food. Built the one on Hoosick Street. Nobody goes there.
Yeah.
And the only time they go to Taco Bell is after 9 o'clock at night. There's like no line all day, and at 9 o'clock, there's like 15 cars there waiting to get whatever it is.
I often wondered why the Chick-fil-A didn't opt for the, you know, Hoosick Street Plaza.
I don't know.
Nothing there. I mean, there's little stuff there, but got the whole parking lot, got the lights, everything.
Is that wing place ever gonna open?
Yeah, next week.
Next year.
Soft opening.
All right, it's
What's that?
after 9
Soft
o'clock.
Soft opening.
Soft open.
So if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Yeah, we have a yes. Have a second, we have a yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
One thing that wasn't done, to put that on for next.
It works.
Russ, just make a note.